And as much as this is a weird part to cut, we're going to pause here because this is a very long section. We will be finishing it off in the next video. Until then, thank you for watching and see you next time. Hello and welcome back to Umineko. When last we left off, we were in the middle of a long action set piece, but for lack of better options, I had to just kind of cut it there. Jessica had just given an impassioned speech, technically to Runaway, but for Cannon's ears, that was inspiring him about the way that even if something seems useless, it is never really futile. And now we're about to go back to Cannon and see how he takes this lesson. Damn! Got to somehow open a hole. Kraus was repeating his useless effort to somehow open a hole between the metal bars. Useless. Nothing is useless. There's nothing. The lookout goats had been swallowed up by those black pitfalls and disappeared. Now was their once-in-a-lifetime chance. This was their only chance to break the bars. Stop it. It's impossible, Kraus-san. There's nothing we can do with our bare hands. Let's look for a tool. Don't waste time on the impossible. If you give up because it's useless, then it's all over. That's what my daughter said. Even if my body won't fit, as long as a small person like Shannon or Cannon can make it through. Now that we've reached this point, action is more important than racking our brains. Let's work together. I'll do it too. Cannon-kun, you're a boy, aren't you? Lend a hand. Cannon-kun? Kraus-sama, please stand back. What? What are you planning? Okay, Nissan? Just one more time. Let's try struggling. Yes. I too will struggle one more time. No, not just one more time. Over and over again. Jessica's voice had reached Cannon. It certainly had permeated into his cold, rock-like heart. And George's voice had reached Shannon. If the love he had shown was embodied by strength, she would have to respond in the same way. An incredible metal sound rang out. In the first flash, several metal bars were severed horizontally, and in the next flash, they were severed horizontally again, causing many metal bars to clatter to the ground like bamboo shoots cut by a sword. Kraus, Kyrie, and Nanjo didn't even have a clue what had just happened. Dr. Nanjo, which way down the corridor goes to the mansion? Oh, of course. In and to the left. In and to the left. Let's go, Kraus-sama. Virgilia-sama will notice us at any moment now. What in the world are you guys? We are. When Cannon hung his head a little and faltered, Shannon slapped his shoulder, smiled, and spoke. We're human. Virgilia-sama! Response from the lookout web. It's a jailbreak. The good guards aren't there for some reason. What? Why? It's GOP, isn't it? Taking someone else's summonings without asking. GOP. GOP GOP. Confirming battle regulations. Requesting permission to fire at the escapees. Do it! Kill them. Gap. Gap. Yeah. Understood. 45, 410, prepare for sniping pursuit combat. Ammo type, guided cluster rounds. Virgilia-sama, an escape prevention barrier if you would. Oh. Yes, you're right. Oh, I won't let you escape from here. Ow. Bit my tongue saying gap. The underground passage in front of them was once again blocked by metal bars. The door was, of course, locked. However, that was no problem for them now. Cannon, it's those metal bars again. We're counting on you. Yes, Krasana. Still, that's incredible. I wonder what kind of principle it works on. I'm not interested in principles. All that matters is that he can sever the metal bars and that we can escape from here. Don't worry, Cannon. Do it. Leave it to me. Cannon sliced the metal bars again with his red, curved blade. But there was a harsh, strange noise, and the metal bars only had a slight scratch. What's this? These are sturdy. Wrong. They're enchanted. It's one of Virgilia-sama's magic locks. Can you cut through it? Of course. But it will take time. We'll wait 3 minutes. After taking a deep breath and concentrating his mind, Cannon extended a red curved sword again. When he pressed it hard against the metal bars, sparks sprayed, almost as though he was melting through it with a burner. It looks like we'll be able to cut it, but it'll be tough. Krasama, you've been targeted by the enemy. Please move back. Huh? Pursuers? There's no one coming. Please get behind me. They're aiming for you. "45 data received. Target lock acquired. Commencing terrain calculation error correction. Formulating firing curve. Supplemental control point calculations complete. Data link to 410. 410 data received. Checking hazard zone, no problems. 00 loading 48 sub rounds. Individual homing F and F. Guided cluster rounds. Preparations complete. 45 firing preparations concluded. Loading guided cluster rounds. 410. Firing. A golden arrow that sparkled gold was fired, leaving a gold tail streaming behind. It drew a curve, went through the door, through the keyhole, down the stairs, towards the underground path at full speed. Something, Sean. You can't block the golden arrow with a shield. Cannon-kun, interception stance. Let's link. Gatekeeper, understood. It's been a long time since I fought with you, Nisan. Don't screw up. Yeah, I'll be serious. Then there's no problem. Cannon stopped cutting the bars and stood in front of Shannon. Behind him, Shannon closed her eyes, concentrating her mind deep, deep into the darkness of the underground path. A guided cluster round is a special kind of arrow, made up of 48 sub-rounds bound together. It explodes mid-flight and divides into 48 mini arrows. The strength of each individual one is low, but they pierce through all shields and possess a perfect wounding and killing power against personnel. And on top of that, each one of the 48 possesses autonomous guidance towards their individual targets. It's on. It's divided. Confirming guided cluster round division. 46, 7, 8, 48 sub-rounds, all rounds locked onto. Interception control, data linked to cannon. Cannon, data received. You're incredible, Nissan. You can actually see all 84, all 48. Concentrate on interception prioritization. Trust your Nissan. Of course, I don't even need to open my eyes. Commencing interception. Target unharmed. It was intercepted. Yeah? All 48 of them? Ho 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 ho. After all, Shannon and Cannon were originally a furniture pair. They're strong when they're together. Ow, ow, ow. Is this gonna become a mouth ulcer or something? Calm down. Reload. Updating ammo type. Precision lightspeed sniper rounds. Preparing for precision sniping. Sounds good, yeah? Impossible to intercept super high-speed rounds. Impossible for a mere gatekeeper to defend against, yeah? Precision sniping, roger that. Commencing collection of precision firing use data. What in the world was that just now? Don't worry, I don't have a clue either. All I know is that we would have died if not for these two. Cannon-kun, thanks. Go back to the metal bars. The next shot will probably be one we can't intercept. How can we defend against such an attack? We don't let them shoot. Cannon-kun, initiate spirit particle combat countermeasures. At those words, Cannon closed his eyes tightly and ground his teeth. With Shannon at the center, a pressure impact that only non-humans could perceive struck. Huh? Firing system error! No good! Rebooting! Huh? It's spirit wave jamming. Activate spirit particle safeguards. Hurry! What are you doing? Cover your ears quickly, 45. An unseen, unheard impact had struck the Chester sisters. 00 and 410 crouched down covering their ears, but 45 didn't make it in time. As she stood bolt upright, her eyes rolled. Cute. 45 got damaged. Her IME is busted. Yeah, the noise is also horrible for me, yeah. 45. For 10. And 00. Damaged. Abandoning sniping posture. It came straight through the link. If we don't reboot. Raising their spirit particle sensitivity for precision sniping had backfired. They had taken the full brunt of the spirit particle shockwave Shannon had released. And not only 45, who had been hit directly, but also 00 and 410, who had been licked with her, were taken down. Are you okay? I'll make you some more delicious black tea later, so get a hold of yourselves. My apologies, sir. Rebooting. Please wait several hundred seconds. All of the Chieste sisters had fallen over. They would probably get back up eventually, but it looked like it would be hard for them to return to the battle lines for a while. So, furniture was able to repel weapons. If only for a moment. I see. A plot to entertain that child truly will be filled with unexpected turns. Virgilia tore the air with a large gesture, motioning as though opening a door. Come, arise, goat attendants. It's time to work. Catch and kill the escapees. Corpses are fine, we can just revive them anyway. A gold-colored door opened in the air, and countless giant goats with muscular bodies peeked their faces out. Come now, hurry. There are 5 escapees, so the fastest 5 of you win. There will be a wonderful prize, so give it your all. Give it your all. Virgilia clapped her hands, urging them on. A prize? After facing each other at those words, the goats all rushed to the door at once, trying to get out, making the exit as packed as the Tozai or Yamanote rail lines in the morning. Each wanted to get out first, so none of them could get out. Virgilia held her head in frustration. By that time, Cannon had managed to cut enough bars to make a crack that could be slipped through. It had been a bit of work for Kraus, large as he was, and Nanjo with his lethal waist, but even so, they all managed to make it through. But after they did, they only had a couple seconds to be relieved. Immediately, another set of metal bars blocked the way in front of them. This certainly is secure. I'll bet they really didn't want the people in here to escape. Cannon, sorry, but I'll have to ask you again. It may be tough, but please. There was sweat on Cannon's forehead. You could tell at a glance that cutting the metal bars, which had been made even more solid by magic, had physically exhausted him. Yes, leave it to me, Krasana. Only you can do it. Please, we're counting on you. Only he could do it. Holding tightly onto those words, Cannon concentrated his mind once again and set himself to the task of cutting metal bars again. Enemies are coming from behind. Multiple targets. Yeah, this time even we can tell. The ground's really shaking. I can tell that some ridiculous monsters are rushing at us. Don't worry. I'll use a magic lock to make a blockade of the metal bars we just came through. Mere goats won't be able to break it. Shannon held her hand out towards the metal bars they had gone through. But she stopped right away. What is it? Virgilia-sama has started neutralizing the spirit wave jamming. It'll be bad if it's broken, and we'll lose the initiative once the Chieste sisters are rebooted. I'll make you pay in full for bullying these cute bunnies. If you're trying to gain the advantage with those clever spirit particles of yours, I'll tear all that away and rob you of them. Nissan, concentrate on the spirit wave jamming. The gap in those metal bars is too narrow for those guts. It should hold them back for a while. I don't have a clue what you're saying, but you know it's something pretty bad. Kyrie picked up a metal bar that Cannon had just cut. Kraus had no weapon, but he rubbed his fists, and the two of them glared into the depths of the underground passage where the shaking was coming from. I believe these are the final metal bars blocking the way. How far is it to the mansion from here? Quite a walk. The path is even, but I seem to remember walking for 30 minutes. So if we run all out, it'll be half that time. They couldn't tell for sure, since they didn't have the three-sided mirror, but there was no guarantee that George and Jessica would still be alright against demon opponents after all this time. If we run at twice the speed of walking, it'll be 15 minutes. And twice that speed would make it 8 minutes. And if we sprint all out at double that speed, it won't even take 5. No problem. What an unreasonable calculation. But that's how you calculate in a fire. My sincere apologies, everyone. Please, watch my back. Leave it to us. Cannon, you cut the bars as fast as you can. Shannon, you concentrate on jamming this witch called Virgilia or whatever. Kyrie-san and I will defend against our pursuers. Then the roars of beasts rang out from the darkness, and several fiery, glowing, bright red eyes appeared. Goats that were several levels more massive than the guards were rushing with an incredible force. The tremors they created were almost like an earthquake. They brought a frightening intensity and terror, but Kyrie actually laughed with relief. Those massive bodies wouldn't be able to go through the crack in the bars. The group of goats crashed into the metal bars with a fierce sound, like that of a train colliding with a dead end. Clumps of dirt fell here and there from the ceiling. You could tell that the metal bars had bent as if collapsing. Their charging power was probably was on par with a train. If the metal bars hadn't been there, they would likely have overwhelmed the 5 of them and crushed them in an instant. When the group of goats pressing up against the metal bars noticed the 5 people right in front of them, they let out a terrible howl, trying to intimidate the 5. Or maybe that was out of pain from their game of push and shove. One calm goat among them figured out what should be done about the metal bars, then grabbed 2 of them with its massive arms and began bending them as though opening double doors. Kyrie sharply jabbed her metal pole at that goat's vitals. The goat let out a roar of anguish. It probably hurt a lot, but that was all. It wasn't enough to bring it down. Krasan. Whoa! Still holding the metal pole she had stuck out, Kyrie relinquished the opposite tip to Kraus. Kraus ran there with all his might, jumped up, and kicked down with all his weight and kicking power combined. All of that destructive power was focused on a single pole, drilling it in. Are you okay? Please don't rub the affected area. I'll prescribe some medicine later. Take care. As the goat who'd taken a pile bunker to its vitals writhed with teary eyes, it nodded its head. Looks like our link isn't that bad either. We won't lose to Shannon-chan and Cannon-kun. Naturally, for a loving family like us. We can do it if we take them together. Next, that one on the right. Understood. You really are a good wife. That Rudolph must have grumbled a little too much. Ooh, tell me about it later. Rudolph-san, suddenly turning pale in heaven won't do you any good. Okay? The goats' massive bodies were buried in rose bushes. Even taking into account that a leg's power is 3 times that of an arm's, this strength surpassed common sense. To think that those massive bodies had been kicked in the chin and flown through the air, it was too fierce. Even George seemed a little surprised. To think that my kick works on monsters too. Now there's a shock. It's because of your counterattack style barrier. The attacking power that grazes you is added onto your own. Your kick has been supplemented by those monsters' superhuman strength. Oh? I don't really get it, but isn't that just perfect for me? No matter who attacks me, they should be prepared for a counterattack of equal measure. Non-aggressive defense. That's my policy. That's why Gap couldn't easily touch him. The counterattack style barrier had no defensive power. However, because of its countering ability, it could be useful in defense by making the opponent hesitate to attack. The goats had been foolish and so had attacked without worrying. But this second effect had worked in full against Gap. These guys really are dull. When your power is even, it's always an advantage to have a smaller build. He lightly dodged the log-like arms. When those arms touched the barrier that protected George, they let off a strong red light. The tip of the counterattacking foot would then gain the same sparkle, and the superhuman power of the goat added to its own. The second goat fell forward and floated in the air for a second. Then George's next roundhouse kick missed right over the falling goat's head. For an instant, the goat hoped it might get away with its life. But no! A heel was dropped onto the back of its head, and it was forced to kiss the ground. Going from a high roundhouse kick into a narichagi is pretty basic, right? Works pretty well every now and then. This guy's a problem. Seriously, a problem? What do you mean, demons? What do you mean, witches? The rulers of Rokkenjima are the Ashuramiya family. I'll make you physically aware of that. You... The only way to finish off George, now that his body was wrapped up in a counterattack style barrier, was to deny him a chance to counterattack. Nothing to do but suck him into the abyss next, then kick and drop him, kick and drop him, kick and drop him, until she kicked him to death. But George had already completely seen through the faint warning signs that told of the appearance of Gap's pitfalls. If he could jump over that next pitfall, then this time he would probably pulverize Gap's head with his whirlwind-like kick without holding back in the slightest, just as had been done to his parents. She was able to envision that scene vividly. Gap hated Kinzo more than ever for calling her out to this ridiculous island. Even though Runabe held out a shield, he had finally started using his hands. Without a more powerful shield, he wouldn't be able to block Jessica's fists anymore. The enchantment on Jessica's fists grew the more she fought. The permeating upgrade had already grown several times. And those fists had also been given an impact upgrade, a piercing upgrade, and a speed upgrade, making them fists worthy to fight on par with a demon. What's wrong? Starting to get tired? You're getting all slow. No. Your movements and thoughts and kinetic vision have been rapidly enchanted. My movements have not changed from the beginning. Your movements are beginning to catch up to me. And you still won't fight back? This is my style. However, I cannot allow it to continue at this rate. It's about time for me to get serious and end this. Runaways' face turned into an expression he hadn't shown before. It was full of respect for Jessica in a truly demonic way. Because it was an expression he only showed for enemies who made him get serious. Whoa! What the? With a gesture of his whole body that you couldn't call elegant, Runaway held out a shield with all his strength. A shield the size and thickness of a wall. It was more tenacious than a simple shield. It literally was a wall. And on top of that, with all of Runaway's magical power, it pushed Jessica back bit by bit. Did he plan on pushing her back against the wall and crushing her to death? Jessica tried to break through the wall with both fists, but it was solid. Without any exaggeration, it was solid. Is this what you call serious? No problem. I'll break right through it. I will not let you this time. This wall is somewhat different. Here, allow me to enchant it as well. When Runaway made a magic sign almost like a ninja, the wall glowed red for just an instant, and some kind of ominous power dwelt within it. Jessica was able to recognize that almost immediately with her body. Every time her fists hit the wall, pain as though glass fragments had scattered and hit all over her body rebounded against her. I upgraded it with attack reactive armor, an exceptional item that will decrease the force of your attacks by counterbalancing them, and which can even counterattack with reactive fragments. It is perfectly fine to keep punching it, but doing so will damage you as well. In short, it's an endurance test between me and your wall? No problem. Will you fall to your knees first or be pushed into the wall first? Allow me to observe. Except I might break through it and smash that whole wall along with your face, right? Watch it! Without hesitation, Jessica punched using both fists. Each time she did, a large amount of shards scattered, torturing her entire body. Instantly, several red gashes appeared all over her. She grimaced at the intense agony, but her eyes were burning with fighting spirit, and her lips curved in a grin that stood in sharp contrast to the pain. Cannon, are you done yet? We're fine. But metal bars blocking them don't seem to be. Just a little more. There's no stopping these guys. These metal bars might break just from them shoving into each other. The group of goats made the metal bars creak. Several arms grabbed the bars, twisting them with superhuman strength. However, some bars were being pulled in opposite directions by different hands. Apparently, they really were stupid. The way those countless hands grabbed the metal bars sometimes happened to match up by chance. Several hands grasping two metal bars neatly put their power together and pulled the bars to the left and right. The incredible sound of metal bending could be heard, and that crack was getting larger, bit by bit. They attacked the arms of those goats one by one, but they weren't getting anywhere. They couldn't stop the gap from spreading left and right. At that time, there was a loud metal sound behind them. Cannon had finally finished cutting. Quickly! Courier-san, ladies first. You go next, Dr. Nanjo. Krasama, please leave this place to me. This is... Cannon's red sword that had cut the metal bars disappeared. Sorry. We've entered Virgilia-sama's spirit particle area of influence. Our magic power has been neutralized. Ho 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 ho! How dare you resist me this far? I, who is called a great witch? You can no longer use your magic in that underground passage. A magic circle column drew a complex magical formula with Virgilia at the center. With such genuine magic being used, Shannon's power couldn't even compete. On the contrary, it was surprising that she had withstood as long as she had. Spirit particle supremacy ensured. Come, Chester sisters, it's your turn now, right? Wait, are you still rebooting? Why are kids these days so bad at waking up? My apologies. We're all different versions. Why do the shortcuts and pull-down menus all get screwed up every time you change versions? Yeah. You did not shut down correctly last time? Administrative privileges? What's going on? I don't know. FQ. FQ. Fix me quickly. Call the Imperial Guard's troubleshooting team. What? You can't help us with a user code? 45 had the user code. Yeah? Oh, Q? 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 Oh, Q? Q? It just sounds like 9999 in Japanese to me. Have her write it on some paper. She can't reinstall her IME, so she can't write characters. Yeah. You take your time fixing yourselves. I'm going. Sorry. The narrow underground passage was packed with goats, truly like a commuter train in the morning. Virgilia was again shocked by this congestion. What are you doing? Huh? You want to go first because you want the prize? You're getting in each other's way because you don't want the other goats to steal the prize from you? You stupid goats! I'm going, so make way. What? You don't want to? Virgilia-sama is trying to steal your prize? Why are you all standing arm in arm? Ah, tight, cramped. When did this become a goats only car? Ooh, you, that kid who just touched my butt, get off at the next station. What's with you? Come this way, you say? The five in Kraus's group dashed through the passageway with all their strength. They couldn't dawdle around in an underground place like this. They had to quickly join up with the children on the surface. If they could meet up, there would no longer be any more sorrow. At that time, a terrible rumble started chasing them. Had their pursuers finally made it through the metal bars? But they couldn't see anyone when they turned around. However, that rumble and the dirt that fell here and there from the ceiling grew closer and closer, finally catching up with them and even going past them. It felt almost like being chased by ghosts. For a second, they thought they had gotten away, until the ceiling in front of them fell in, and a single goat stood in their path. Virgilia was sitting on its shoulder. This wise child knew a shortcut. What a good kid. You get first prize. Later, you can have some handmade mackerel curry. Maybe it really was happy about that dubious prize. The massive goat showed its joy by putting its hand together and writhing. Virgilia leapt down, laughing that this time it was finally checkmate. Damn! It's no use. Our magic has been completely killed. Not yet. Even without magic, we still have these bodies. Don't be ridiculous. There's no way you could fight a monster like that without that strange power. Stay back, children. I'll do something about this, so escape past the sides of that monster while I distract them. I won't let you. When Virgilia clapped her hands, a purple magic circle wall appeared behind her, stealing even the faint hope that Kraus had been betting on. Is there nothing more to be done? No, not yet. Even Jessica thought, I must do as well. Are you serious? It's not possible. Not against that massive monster. Don't be absurd. Kraus-san, let us think of another way. If you think of something, say it. Until then, it looks like I'll have to manage something. Come on, get back. Take care. My, Kraus. You intend to fight this child alone? You never know. In a fight, it's always possible to get in a lucky shot. You think you can win even with a fluke? Allow me to explain so that even one who's so blissfully unaware of his place can understand. What? If you were to wield 100% of your strength, your power level is at most 6. In comparison, this child has a power level of 1000. In short, even if there were 100 of you, you definitely couldn't win. Well, it's true there are uncertain elements in a fight. Let us admit that your power level has a slight scaling factor to it. But even so, your chances of defeating this child are at perhaps 0.00001%. You understand? You don't even have a 1 in 10,000 chance of victory. Virgilia and the goat guffawed together. Damn it! If I've got a 1 in 10,000 chance, that means the payoff will be 10,000 times greater, right? A splendid dark horse. Seeing a ticket like that makes me want to buy it right away. But the coin to buy it is your life. You've only got one of those, yes? However, I can understand why you'd still want to entrust that miracle to fate. Therefore, I shall praise your courage for standing against us without fear, and give you a bit of a handicap. This child will fight with only his left arm. Well, even so, I have absolutely no intention of losing to you. Come to think of it, what's that bing bong noise I keep hearing? Very well. I'll take that challenge. Whether it uses its left arm or not, I'm sure I'd be killed with a single strike. I also only have a single chance at a strike. I can only bet everything on that. That's absurd, Croissant. I know you used to do boxing, but wasn't that as far back as your college days? No, even if you were a pro boxer, there's no way you could defeat a monster like that with one strike. That would be true if it were a match in the ring. But while Kraus Nissan's chance to bet on this hope is faint, it does exist. He's betting everything on that hope. You weren't saying, but there's no way that would work out. Kraus-sama. Watch me. I'll settle this with a single strike. How shallow. I know what you're after. The distance between the two of them is more than 10 meters. If the goat and Kraus both step in with all their strength to settle the fight with a single blow, their power will be double what is normal. Both will crash together, so it's a relative 4 times normal. Even if on top of that the strike lands on a weak point for a critical hit, that will only double that power again. In short, Kraus's maximum power level of 6 times 8 would be 48 at the most. He might or might not be able to win if he repeated that lucky shot a full 20 times. Once again, I don't know what's up with the script. I'm not sure if this is technically supposed to be Virgilia's voice. The very start obviously was. If you're killed every time you take a hit, and your damage still accumulates. Let's see, perhaps you might finally win when we get to episode 24, yes? If only this series could stretch on so long. Either way, you don't even have a slight chance at victory. Hey, seriously, what is that bing bong sound? Let me bet everything on a single strike. You have no reason to hold back either, Goat-kun. Come at me seriously. He's requesting that you go all out. Smash him with a single serious strike, and turn him into chunks of meat. As the goat got excited and beat its chest over and over, it took a position as though preparing for a sprint. Is this what you wanted? Bet your hopes on the greatest limits of your power level, and despair when even that gets you nowhere. It rang again! What the heck? It's really starting to get on my nerves. Here I go. Ready? The goat howled in response. Then, with a matched timing that only the men confronting each other could comprehend, the two leapt forward like bullets shot out of a gun. The men howled, collecting the strength from all over their bodies into one arm each. The goat's fiery, glowing eyes clearly locked onto Kraus's face. He could perfectly see a vision of when he would step forwards, when he would punch through Kraus and blow him away, and when he would win perfectly. The long, painful days up to that point drifted through the goat's mind. Those painful days of training when his senpais had picked on him. Those faint glimpses of the warm concern his senpais felt for him. Go on ahead and leave this to me. Senpai? Sorry to keep you waiting. You guys, what are you doing here? Those faint glimpses of the warm concern his senpais felt for him, and the joy of that day his power had been acknowledged when he had been accepted as one of the comrades. I never showed proper respect to my parents. That's right. Didn't I plan to wash my hands of this business when this job was over and return to my hometown? I'm sorry, little goat sister. Your Oni-chan always caused you so much trouble. and I actually have a childhood friend. I'm gonna marry her when I get home. Gah! No! Stop tripping all those loser flags! You can't handle that punch. Dodge it! It happened the instant before the two crashed and their punches crossed. You fool, Virgilia. Looks like you failed to make a calm and rational decision. You mustn't take that punch! Knock it aside! The very instant the goat's left straight and Kreis's right straight crossed, the goat obeyed Virgilia's order with super fast reflexes and pulled his straight back, repelling Kreis's punch. That's right, Virgilia's decision probably had been wise. After all, the number of loser flags amplifies the power level of one's opponent. That was close. If you had taken that punch after tripping so many loser flags, imagine just how great a force it would have been amplified to. Come on, from there, smash the completely open right side of his face with a right straight. What? That promise about fighting with only your left arm? Aren't promises made to be broken? Yeah! Tripped another one! I'm disappointed, Virgilia. You really have lost your composure. What's that? How was I not composed? By noticing it beforehand and making him avoid it? Oh, why is that, Kirie-sama? If they had crashed like that, wouldn't it have been crashed? I see. Even with 20 loser flags. That's not enough. Kreis's and the goat's double rush made for ×4. With a miracle as an ally, the firm promise of a critical hit doubled it again for ×8. On top of that, there was an amplification of ×20, equal to the number of loser flags, making for ×160. At a glance, that was an incredible amplification. But even so, Kreis's power level was 6. Even multiplied by 160, it only made for a power level of 960. Just barely below the goat's 1000. That's why I said you weren't composed. It's your blunder. If they had crashed like that, you would have won. Even if that were so, it all comes to the same thing if this right straight smashes Kraus's head. Die, Ashoramiya Kraus. Take this, the strongest strike of the boxing world. After repelling Kreis's right straight, the goat's right straight attacked the right side of Kreis's face, which had been left open. But there, it crossed Kreis's left straight. The two punches crossed and time stopped as each aimed for the face of the other. Oh. To think that it would be timed for a simultaneous strike. But his power level stops at ×160, making it 960. It doesn't reach up to my child's 1000. No, Virgilia-san, it's your loss. Why? You made him repel the first cross counter. Certainly, if another right straight after that were to hit, Krasan would probably be at pieces. However, that was crossed. That's no good. Sorry, but this is a complete loss for you and this goat. A cross counter has 4 times the destructive power of a normal punch. This is common knowledge in the boxing world. And if it's blocked and the right straight hits, then it's a double cross counter with 8 times the destructive power. This is also common knowledge in the boxing world. And if that is crossed, then by the principle of leverage, the triple cross would multiply the destructive power by 12. This is also painfully common knowledge in the boxing world. It's even written in a Min-Meishobu book. Min-Meishobu book. Min-Meishobu is probably more accurate. Krasan's power level is 6. The rushing from both sides is times 4. The critical hit is times 8. And times 160 for tripping too many Lucifer and times 12s again for the triple cross counter. The times 1920? His power level is 11,520. Krasa's punch now had the power to easily win the first Tenkaichi Budokai. This result was brought about by Krasan's persistence in not giving up on victory until the end. And your pride. Without either, the strength would not exist. You fought well. You may now fall. Nanjo clapped the goat on the shoulder. Yoroni-chan gave it his all. As the sparkling drops from the goat's eyes scattered, he bent backwards and fell on Virgilia. Heavy! Get off me! The goat's massive body was too heavy for the slender Virgilia. She wriggled around with it on top of her, but it didn't look like she'd be able to escape. In that instant, the barrier Virgilia had sealed broke. Don't take it personally. It was the principle of leverage that led to your defeat. I wonder how the principle of leverage applied to that counter. It's an eternal mystery. Let's escape while we can. You take care too, Gotan. Well then, excuse us, Virgilia-sama. Bow. Wait! Wait up! Get this off me! Gap! After that, there was nothing to block their way. They ran intently through the underground passage. Jessica had finally been cornered, with the wall at her back. Runaway advanced with his magic circle wall bit by bit, and would probably crush her against the other wall eventually. Considering the distance, she threw out her fists. This would be her final strike. Jessica had dealt out many punches so far. The wall wasn't invincible. It had already started to crack, and it wouldn't be strange for it to smash at any moment. However, due to the rebounding damage, Jessica also had cuts all over her body and was all worn out. Please put a stop to this. I don't intend to crush you. It is up to the master to decide how to deal with you. However, I also intend to congratulate you specially for your good fight. Quit fucking around. Not yet. It isn't over yet. You have wounds all over your body. It's all you can manage just to stand, is it not? It seems you plan on putting all your strength into this final strike. However, that final strike will be fatal for you. The damage reflected by Runaway's magic circle wall was proportional to the strength of the attack. Jessica's all-out punch would be bounced back onto her. The more all-out she went, the more suicidal it would be for Jessica. And I get it. I know that. I am warning you. Stop this now. This is for your own good. Stop bluffing. Your wall is already about to break, right? I can tell by the feel of it after punching it so much, okay? That was a fact. Runaways' wall was already on the verge of breaking. And on top of that, Jessica's fists had been imbued with an unimaginable magical attack power by now, and their destructive strength defied the imagination. In the worst case, that destructive power might even pierce the defensive wall, smash Runaway as well, and create an expansion connecting this room to the next. However, that damage would rebound on Jessica as well. She wouldn't escape unharmed. I will say it just one more time. Stop. I say this out of consideration for you. Shut the fuck up! Prepare yourself. Jessica howled, putting all the strength of her greatest and final destructive power into her fist. She roared. The three goats had been beaten down long ago. Without straining to breathe in the slightest, George cautiously closed the distance between him and Gop. He was after her. He was planning on bringing her down with a single strike. Gop was also aiming for a single strike. If she let that chance slide, she would be killed this time. Aren't you going to use your pitfalls? Even the tiny opening during the time it took to open the hole would prove fatal with George as an opponent right now. Gop cautiously calculated the distance and timing, but even as she did, George closed the gap between them. If you won't come, I will. Go ahead. There's no point in cheap tricks anymore. I'll settle it. With this kick of mine. For an instant, she thought George's body blurred, and then only his jacket was floating in the air. The moment she thought, darkness covered Gop. George, with his heels swung up high, was attacking from the sky like a massive dragon. It worked. This is my victory, assure me, George. What? Gop opened a vast pitfall with her in the center, swallowing up George along with herself. The two were swallowed up by the pitfall and spat out from the ceiling of the arbor. But that was what Gop had been after, so she alone landed lightly. However, there was another pitfall in George's landing spot. Gotcha, assure me, George. It was fun. So die. The assure me a family headship would be wasted on the likes of you. So I'll finish you right here, right now. George once again fell from the ceiling of the arbor. He had probably been dropped the same distance as falling off the roof of a 2-story building. In the sky, he couldn't control his posture in any way. It was impossible to resist or defend or avoid. As Gop spun like a whirlwind, she concentrated all of her energy on the sharp tip of her stiletto heel. This was the final strike to perform his requiem. The final strike of the queen bee that would bore into heaven, knocking him down into the true abyss. Welcome to the abyss. This is the end of the line for you. She closed in on her prey and stuck her foot up into the sky. At that time, she saw George's face. Even though he was in midair, he was calmly adjusting his glasses with the middle finger of his right hand. and his posture was still preserved as that of an axe kick. Without the faintest deviation, he aimed for Gop's forehead. I had already hypothesized that this move would come up. What? If I'd jumped to make the person on the ground taste my heel, my posture would have collapsed long ago. However, my posture hasn't collapsed in the slightest. Do you know why? You don't mean... From the very beginning, I aimed to make a person 2 stories down below taste my heel. It's your loss, miss. Ding dong. Whoa! Take this! The final, strongest punch that Jessica had raised reached the wall and was sucked in. It was sucked into a black, large hole that had suddenly opened on the wall. Well, I did tell you to stop. This is... Actually, I wasn't even close to being in a pinch. Sorry. Jessica's fist had gone for George's stomach, and George's axe kick had lined up on Jessica's head. The shocking destructive power imbued in Jessica's fist crushed George's organs and scattered his abdomen. The same destructive power in George's axe kick smashed half of Jessica's head and scattered its contents in the same manner. Didn't I tell you about a witch's acting prowess? Hey, Vito, what do you think? Were you watching? Yeah. Not bad, just as planned. You really do get it, Gop. Woohoo! Beato and Gap casually high-fived each other. What? Thanks, Umineko. Thanks for the gift. I'll return Jessica's corpse. Separate the corpses of the 2 who are close. Does this mean the second twilight is over? Gop dropped Jessica's corpse through a pitfall, and all the chunks were thrown into Jessica's room, as carelessly as throwing something into the trash. Jessica's corpse and lumps of flesh fell from the ceiling and poured out all over her room. Runabe shook his head slightly at this gruesome change of scenery. My apologies, Jessica-sama. I did warn you. However, the true art of us demons, that is, foreseeing this conclusion and giving you advice I knew you wouldn't listen to, really isn't something a human could understand. It really was fun, kid. But you play with words a bit too much. Maybe it's that time I started fighting back. Really the best you've got? Are you trying to be someone from a light novel or something? In the arbor brutally decorated by George's and Jessica's scattered blood and guts, Gop enjoyed a loud laugh for a while. But she quickly realized that, in all seriousness, this was a little too filthy and undignified, and she snapped her fingers. As she did, a cloud of gold butterflies rose up around her, stuck to each of the bits and bloodstains, and dropped them. Then George's corpse returned, bit by bit. And the brutal corpse, with its guts torn out, was repaired into a clean corpse that looked like it was sleeping. Was this some act of sportsmanship towards a dead rival? The heavens were split, because Gop had lifted her leg high, pointing at the sky. See you, lover boy. This is game over for real. Splat. Without a trace of mercy, that foot stepped down and was buried to George's forehead. The stiletto heel that was sharp as a weapon pierced George's forehead. With a bloop, it was pulled out. It was like a mark proving that Gop certainly had finished him by her own hand. Runaway also returned Jessica's corpse to its original form. And unlike how it had been with George, he restored Jessica's life. What in the world is this? A dream? No, that is wrong. You certainly did pass away, Jessica-sama. You should be well aware of the memory of your final moments. Jessica's mind was burning. For some reason, she remembered being thrown somewhere and having George's heel smash her head. Am I alive? No, you are dead. With my magic, that will only be postponed for a scant 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, the magic will end, and you will return to being a tragic corpse with half of its head crushed. What did you say? Death is brutal. In most cases, you aren't even given the time to ready your heart. But to praise you for fighting so bravely, I've decided to give you this time. Perhaps you should sort out your regrets from this world in those 3 minutes. I can also decide to take you along with me during those 3 minutes. But the power that had burned through Jessica's body until a second ago had been completely lost. Jessica was aware of that herself. She was already dead. And that is all for me, if you would excuse me. It was fun, Jessica-sama. Runaway turned his form into a cloud of gold butterflies and it disappeared. All that remained was the sound of the wind and rain and the figure of Jessica as she crouched down, leaning against the wall. Jessica could tell. She probably really would revert to the corpse she had been after 3 minutes. Was there anything she could do in those 3 minutes? She stood up and with a shaky gait took the phone that was on the desk. Hello? Is that Jessica? Jessica? What is it? Are you okay? They got me. Are you okay? Did you get injured? I'll come to save you right now. No, it's already too late. I'm already dead, or so I hear. By the time you got here, Battler, I'd be a corpse with half its head split open. Crap! That damn geezer! Wait there, I'm coming right now. Listen to me, Battler. Listen closely, okay? Now, I totally see why Goda-san and Kumasama-san were evasive about the time the six in the dining hall got killed. Those guys aren't human. What? What are you talking about? I saw it, so what am I supposed to do? Those guys warp and set up barriers and do whatever they want, okay? It's like some kind of manga and anime. Hell, we seriously can't keep up. From the very beginning, fighting was useless. They really aren't opponents that you'll be able to fight with that hat-stand spear you're so proud of. A line of blood dripped down from Jessica's forehead. George Nissan's done for it too. That was an instant death. The next test is yours, Battler. I wonder if your test will go the same way as ours. Be careful, and don't misunderstand. You mean about the test? No. Don't misunderstand. And assume that your enemy's human. The enemy isn't human. They're demons. They can freely wield a terrifying magic. No matter what, don't get the wrong idea about that. Be careful. A line of blood dripped down from Jessica's mouth as well. The left half of her head started hurting. Jessica realized that she was about to return to the corpse she had been. When 13 people die, the Golden Witch will revive. 6 were killed, including Mom. That's the first Twilight. And then George Nissan and I were killed for the second Twilight. So once 5 more people are killed, the ceremony will be complete, and the witch will revive. I hope Dad and the rest are safe. If they aren't, I want to test you. Might be the resurrected Beatrice herself. Battler already didn't understand what Jessica was saying, but from her tone he realized that she knew she was about to die. So even though he didn't understand the situation, he urged her to give it her all. I said I'm already dead. See ya. It looks like it's time. Good luck on your test. I hope you can become the head. Jessica! Jessica! Hey, answer me! Jessica! Battler's sorrowful voice could be heard from the dangling receiver. As she leaned against the wall in that corner, crouched down, Jessica's head had been half smashed. This place is... Is this a well? Where is this? Kyrie stuck her face out of the well, and then Kraus showed himself too. When he realized they could see the back of the mansion from beyond a grove of trees, Kraus knew more or less where they were. To think that here, in a certain well, there had been a hidden underground passage, which led to a hidden mansion.
This really is tough on this old body. I usually came up from a different spot with real stairs. If you just unlock it. I will ask you to tell me about the layout of this place in detail later, Dr. Nanjo. Shannon, are you okay? Grab hold.
I'm fine. Cannon can quickly. Cannon climbed up a ladder out of the shaft that was disguised as a well. It was probably quite deep. When he looked down for the first time, he realized how far he'd come up. Firing! Bang! As Cannon was about to finally crawl out of the well, a hole the size of a basketball opened up in his chest. Everyone there looked through the hole in Cannon's chest to the scenery beyond. Cannon! Please. Cannon slumped backwards and was swallowed up into the depths of the well. Everyone, run! The Chesty sisters! They've locked on. We can't avoid them. Run! Let at least one of us remain alive. At that time, Kraus and Kyrie and Nanjo certainly saw a golden curved line appear from the well and sew itself through the side of Shannon's head. Shannon! Her head had been pierced. The three had witnessed it perfectly until it had shot out the opposite side, blowing it away. Shannon fell to her knees, blood gushing from both sides of her head, and flopped to the ground. Whoa! They're after us! Run! We'll be killed! Run! Run, run, run! As Nanjo doubled over in shock, stunned by how Shannon had died, the Giesti sisters did not allow him to escape. A curved line again appearing from the well, pierced from Nanjo's forehead to the back of his head in an instant, sewing through him. Thump. And so, Nanjo passed away. What the? Why? Where's the enemy coming from? We're being sniped. I don't know where it came from, but they've honed in on us perfectly. Let us escape into the mansion, block their field of vision. The two dashed towards the back door of the mansion. Then, right as Kraus was about to shut the door behind him, a golden curved line appeared for the fourth time, piercing Kraus from the back of his head to his forehead and smashing that forehead. Oh. Kraus's body leaned over, fell down, and drew a neat radial pattern with the insides of his head. Kyrie ran wildly through the hallway, flew into some room, and locked the door. But even so, she wasn't even remotely convinced that this had saved her life. She would probably die soon. This was apparently one of the guest rooms. At that moment, Kyrie's eyes fell on a phone on a side table. After hanging up the call from Jessica, Battler had been about to dash out. In that instant, the phone rang again. Hello? Huh? Kyrie-san? Yes, Battler-kun. I got lucky. I managed to escape the dungeon somehow. I really did have luck on my side. Where are you? Is everyone okay? Over here, it looks like Jessica and George Aniki are... Listen, I probably won't be alive for long. At that time, right after she thought the keyhole of the locked door might have glowed gold, a gold curved line drawing a helix. No, a gold sewing thread penetrated in from there at an incredible speed and bored a hole into the floor by Kyrie's feet. Oh, that's unusual. The enemy, who sniped the other 4 one after another with extraordinary skill, apparently really does have trouble shooting me between the eyes with a single shot while I'm holed up in this room. But the next strike will probably hit. At this point, Kyrie finally remembered the first massive killing in the dining hall. That's right. This is what killed Rudolph and the rest. All 6 of them. Listen, Battler-kun. I'm going to tell you everything exactly as I saw it. I'm sure you'll think there's something wrong with my head. Yes, it's okay for you to think that. Even I still haven't sorted out what it was I saw. Today, after you all returned to the guest house, the family conference began in the dining hall, and I'll tell you everything that happened next. Listen until the end without butting in. The call might be suddenly cut off partway through. If it does, at that time, I'll be dead. Kyrie-san. Then Kyrie spoke. About Kinzo appearing and the family conference starting. About the 6 being killed and the 5 of them being confined. About how she had escaped somehow and ran away to where she was now, and how everyone had finally been killed. It was all spoken dispassionately, with no dramatization, just as she'd seen it. She even spoke about how everyone except her had been killed, and how she had observed the moments of all their deaths, and how even now, someone was trying to kill her. Actually, even while we've been talking, I've been attacked 3 times. Something like a strange golden thread keeps flying in through the keyhole, spinning around and aiming for me. First it was by my feet, next it was close to my shoulders. Just now it grazed my ear. Its aim is getting more and more accurate. Looks like it'll go right between my eyes pretty soon. Run, Kyrie-san! Run away! Where to? I've run this far. Shut myself into a room and even locked the door, right? Now that I'm still being pursued, just where should I hide? Hey. Kyrie-san. Hey, Battler-kun? Are Jessica-chan and George-kun still alive? Not long ago, I got a phone call from Jessica. It kinda sounded like they were done for. Thought so. Yeah, when we were being killed one after another, I had a kind of premonition. I thought that perhaps the second twilight had been finished in the ceremony of killing 13 people, before our twilights had been reached. In short, when I die, that's 13 people. This way, the ceremony is complete. The Golden Witch Beatrice will resurrect. I wonder what in the world will happen. On this island, filled with demons and witches, and swarming with goat monsters, I wonder just what will happen when even the leader of them all, the Golden Witch, appears. By now, I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. Kyrie-san's voice had completely given up on her own life, because Battler understood that. He couldn't stop the tears. There's just one thing I can advise you on. What? If a demon or a witch does appear in front of you, yeah, there's no need whatsoever to doubt whether it's real or not. Understand that it is what it seems to be. You might think there must be some trick, or that there's some true nature hidden behind it. If you have the time to think of something like that, it'd be much more constructive to plan out how not to damage the mood of whatever you're facing. Even mistakenly. You must not say, in that case, try showing me magic. Because to prove that, they'll probably use an even crueler way than before. To show you. I can't believe it. Even if I hear something like that coming from your mouth. I can't believe it. I understand. I understand why you can't believe. So that's why I can give this advice. Believe. You telling me to believe in Beatrice, and demons and witches and monsters? Even after being shown things not of this world so clearly, I think we still weren't able to believe any of it. I'm still like that now. The true form of this thing that keeps attacking me, trying to shoot through my forehead, is something I don't understand. And I can't believe it. So, I want you alone to believe, to understand, to accept the existence of what we couldn't accept. If you do that for me, our deaths won't be wasted. It'll also have been worth it for me to make this phone call. Kyrie-san! I'm still okay. It scratched me, but it missed again. It looks like I probably won't get another chance. Thank you. And goodbye, Alurkin. I treated you coldly sometimes because you were Asuma-san's son. Forgive me for those days. What do you mean forgive you? Right now, you are a mother to me, Kyrie-san. I felt as though I'd heard an incredible sound at the other end of the receiver. Then a noisy clacking sound, as though the receiver had fallen to the floor. Kyrie-san! Kyrie-san! Ah! Kyrie-san did not answer through the phone. Again. And that's going to end this whole double episode section. It was long. So much happened. So many deaths. Probably the most deaths we've ever had in a single section. As we come back next time, we will pick right up where we left off. And see what's going to come now that the witch is able to revive. But until then, thank you for watching. And see you in the next video.